Dear friends, welcome to my video lecture on idealism philosophy. What is idealism? Idealism is a branch of philosophy that emphasizes on ideas as the fundamental requirement for acquiring knowledge and for understanding the realities of the universe. The term idea is originated from Greek language, which means form or pattern. It means mental impression. Idealism emphasizes on the mental properties for the realization of realities of the world. As a philosophy, idealism gives a priority to mental properties for the realization of realities of life. Who are the main exponents of idealism? They are Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, and Greece. Plato believed that ideas alone possess genuine reality. In the modern era, Descartes, Locke, Berkeley, Hume used this term primarily to signify something that exists in the mind. Idealism rejects materialism and naturalism, and it favors a religious or value-oriented worldview. Idealism gives importance to spirit and self. It interprets man and universe in terms of spirit or mind. Idealism has no faith in material world, which is perishable, destructible, and changeable. Other notable idealists include Immanuel Kant, Hegel, Tagore, Mahatma Gandhi, Vivekananda, and Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. What are the main philosophical ideas of idealism? Idealists hold that mind or spirit is fundamentally real. The physical world is just a manifestation of this great spirit behind it. The physical world is destructible and changeable. An idea behind it, which is the essence or the spirit of the universe, cannot be destroyed. Ideas are expressions of the mind. The mind is able to create them and they are not perishable according to idealism. The ultimate reality can be understood and expressed only in terms of ideas. According to idealists, every person has a mind or self or spirit which is spiritual. An individual mind is part of the universal mind. Another very significant aspect is the nature of knowledge. Idealists believe that knowledge of the heart or spiritual reality is the highest knowledge. This knowledge can be obtained only through intuition, unlike the knowledge of the physical universe, which is dependent on the senses. The external world around is a perceived world and not a real world, according to idealism. Idealists say that the knowledge of the ultimate reality is not possible through the methods of observation, experimentation, reasoning, etc., which are the true guides to the knowledge of the physical universe only. Idealists advocate the use of intuition for knowing the ultimate reality. What is education according to idealism? The most important contribution of idealism to the field of education is that it has provided human life with the high aims. It has set its aim of education lofty, great. Idealists point out that the aim of education is not to produce more material goods, but to exalt the human personality. Idealism forwards two aims of education, one for the welfare of individual and the other for the good of the society. The ultimate aim of education is self-realization or spiritual well-being. Self-realization is the goal of life and hence the aim of education. An ideal person will possess physical, intellectual, emotional, moral, and spiritual perfection and integrated development. A self-realized man is an ideal man. He will have internalized the spiritual values. Idealists include physical development, a praiseworthy aim, but they consider it only as an instrument to the health of the mind or the spirit. They believe that a sound mind can exist only in a sound body. What are the principles of education according to idealism? Idealists emphasize on the development of mental capacities of learners. For Comenius, one of the philosophers of idealism, the ultimate goal of man is eternal happiness with God. Education assists us in attaining this goal. True education must be a growth from within. Education should develop all the inner qualities so that people become fit to realize the value of life. All knowledge of the world has received, that the world has received, comes from the mind. All knowledge, whether secular or spiritual, is in the human mind. Gandhi defined education as an all-round drawing out of the best in persons. The fundamental principles of education may be said like this. The principle of spiritualism and ethics. Education is for the spiritual development and spread of ethical values according to idealism. Then there is a principle of mental development. Education emphasizes on the development of all mental capabilities. Then they give priority on teacher and curriculum. Education is based on the activities of teachers and content of the curriculum. Then there is development of individual and social capabilities. Education should emphasize on the development of individual capacities and social zeal. Development of the personality of the whole person they believe in. Education should emphasize on the development of all the basic qualities and capabilities of individuals. What are the aims of education according to idealism? The primary aim of education is to help the learners realize the importance of self. Self realization or imbibing the ideals for personality development for the good of the individual and society. One of the important aims of education is the development of the spiritual capabilities of learners. Spiritual development is important for leading a disciplined life. They believe in higher values of life. Education aims at the development of moral and universal values such as truth, beauty, and goodness for harmonious and peaceful life. So, the education should prepare people to live a holy life. Education is concerned with the spirit of national integration with the basic duties of life, such as conserving the cultural heritage, promoting the cultural specialities, and the transmitting of cultural heritage of one's own and society. They believe in the integrated personality. Education should develop the integrated personality of the child. Education should aim at the development of intelligence and rational power, which are necessary for an ideal life. Then moral development. Education should help children to follow the good and reject the evil, approve the right and disapprove the wrong, appreciate the beauty and avoid the ugliness. Transmission of cultural heritage they are focusing on. Education is to enable children to contribute to the enrichment of culture. What is curriculum according to idealism? For the all-round development of human personality, that is intellectual, physical, and spiritual, idealists suggest different subjects. According to idealism, curriculum of various levels of education should include religious studies, spiritual studies, ethics, languages, sociology, literature, geography, history, music, fine arts, environmental studies, law and culture. Idealists want to give children such knowledge that is of permanent value. They attach a higher importance to humanities than physical and biological sciences. They would advocate the teaching of all those subjects that promote moral and spiritual development. For physical development, subjects like gymnastics, athletics, physical exercise by hygiene are suggested. For intellectual development, languages, literature, philosophy, social studies, and mathematics are recommended. For spiritual development, fine arts, poetry, religion, ethics, and music are approved. Who is a teacher according to idealism? Idealists give great importance to the role of teachers. An idealist teacher is imbued with a high degree of self-knowledge, dynamism, and spiritual qualities. By his model of life, he shapes the individuality of students to a life of purity, virtue, and achievements. Idealism has given importance to the functions of teachers. In the formal process of education, place of teachers is supreme and important. Teachers are gardeners. They take care of students to develop their inner qualities and make them fit for ideal living. Students are greatly influenced by teachers' conduct, that is, his way of speech, his etiquette, his manners, etc. Idealism considers the teacher a friend, philosopher, and guide to his teachers. Character and value development are the most important concerns of the teacher. Froebel's metaphor of the kindergarten perhaps explains the best function of an educator. The school is regarded as a garden and teacher as the gardener, whose function is to tend the little human plants in his charge carefully and help them grow to beauty and perfection. According to idealism, what are the main functions of a teacher? A teacher should lead his students towards the highest goal of life. A teacher must assume the role of a guru. A teacher must understand his students very well. A teacher should present high standard of behavior, a man of moral character. A teacher should have a deep knowledge of his subject. A teacher should aim at inculcating in the students a desire to work hard. A teacher should employ thought-provoking techniques and thereby encourage his students to think for themselves in his subjects. Who is a student according to idealism? Idealists look at the child as a spiritual being. He is also a social being. He is not just an organic reality, but basically a spiritual reality. The student is in the process of self-actualization. Education is a necessary condition of the process. According to idealists, students are social beings. They can actualize themselves only through their service to the humanity. Such a belief is the foundation of a modern offshoot of idealism known as a humanistic idealism. Idealists look at the child as neither good nor bad by nature. They think that he has the potential either to be good or bad, which depends on its actualization upon the environment and the education. The teacher and the students are equal as both of them are spiritual in nature and have a common goal, self-realization. What are the teaching methods in idealism philosophy? Teaching is an important activity in the formal process of education. Without teaching, learning is not possible. Idealists do not favor any particular method of teaching. They advocate different methods according to diverse situational demands. Methods of teaching should be developed according to the nature of teaching. Idealists consider themselves as creators and determiners of methods according to the demands of teaching learning environment. Some of the methods practiced by idealist educators are questioning method, inductive deductive method, question answer method, conversation, dialogue, discussion, lecture, playway method, and group discussion. Idealism advocates the use of ideal centered methods of teaching. That is, while teaching any subject, emphasis is placed upon the dignity of man, grandeur, and the worth of human life. Idealists also believe in self education of the child through self activity. They consider speculation, meditation, and other mental activities as the self activities. What is discipline according to idealism? Discipline has a very important role in the process of personality development of the child. Discipline has also specific importance for a peaceful life. Without discipline, man cannot lead life successfully. Idealism advocates a discipline at all costs. Discipline should be maintained strictly for the development of sound moral character and strong personality of the young learner. Idealists like to give freedom to children, but that will be a qualified freedom. What does this mean? Freedom of the children should be restricted by ideals of life and value system of the society. They cannot simply do whatever they want. They believe that human behavior should have internal controls rather than external controls, such as prizes and punishments. The teacher should win over the child through impression, that is, good personal examples of behavior and conduct. Idealists strongly believe that participation in social service activities develop the spirit of sacrifice, an important feature of the life of an ideal person. What are the viewpoints of different idealistic philosophers? There is a philosophy content as Platonic idealism. Plato was a Greek philosopher, founder of Platonic school of thought, a disciple of Socrates and the teacher of Aristotle. Two of his most famous works are Republic of Plato and The Laws of Plato. According to him, people should concern themselves primarily with the search for truth. As the truth is perfect and eternal, it cannot be found in the world of matter, which is imperfect and constantly changing. Plato saw the dialectic as a vehicle for assisting people in moving from concerns of the material world to the world of ideas. Religious idealism has exerted considerable influence on Christianity. Idea of one God as pure spirit and the universal God are common with idealism. Saint Augustine referred to the two worlds as the world of God and the world of man. The world of God is the world of the spirit and good. The world of man is the material world of darkness, sin, ignorance, and suffering. So, the world of God and the world of man. Saint Augustine believed that one should release oneself from the world of man and enter into the world of God. What is modern idealism? With the rise of scientific revolution, idealism had come to be largely identified with the systematization and subjectivism. This identification was encouraged in the writings of René Descartes, George Berkeley, Immanuel Kant, Hegel, and Josiah Royce. Let us discuss on the limitations of idealism. Concepts like spirit, mind, soul, the cosmos, etc., which are inherent in idealism, have little relevance in classroom teaching. Idealism in education stresses imitation of models, but the younger generation prefers invention and originality rather than imitation. Idealism emphasizes gaining knowledge is likely to turn educational institutions as information mongers workshops. School curriculum becomes overloaded with the obsolete, useless knowledge sometimes. Idealistic scheme of education by and large pays less attention to the physical, industrial, social, and electronic environment of today. So, what is the relevance of idealism to the present education system in India? The contribution of idealism to educational thought is profound. Idealism has provided some lofty aims of education. Idealism influenced the educational thought and practice through its aims. Modern education gives importance to the all-round development of personality. Idealism emphasizes overall development of a child's personality, hence the relevance in modern education. The human beings in the 21st century long for peace and happiness. Idealistic education emphasizes on spiritualism and moral values, which can show right path to the attainment of peace and happiness. Idealism gives importance to education for all to enable people to realize self-realization. Universal education is the focal point of idealism. India has adopted universalization of elementary education as a priority. So, some of the ideas on or some basic ideas on idealism I have given. Thank you very much for listening to my lecture on idealism. God bless you abundantly. Let us meet in other video lectures.